Okay. Nope. It's 9 o'clock. We're ready to start. Please, you can take your seats. We're about to start. Okay, we can have roll call.
Commissioner Pavlik,
Here.
Commissioner Kern,
Here.
Commissioner Kelly,
Here.
Commissioner Caliendo,
Here.
Commissioner Scarborough,
Here.
Commissioner Burke,
Here.
Commissioner Brumfeld, Commissioner Beatty,
Here.
Commissioner Sowards.
Here.
You have quorum.
Okay. Please stand for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Lord, we ask your guidance today as we consider matters that will affect the safety and welfare of many people in our county. Help us to listen with open minds to matters that are important before us and to act on matters that will benefit those who reside in our area. Keep our minds open and alert, our hearts compassionate, and our comments charitable. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Zoning Commission of Palm Beach County has convened at 9 a.m. in the Vista Center, Ken Rogers Hearing Room, VC 1W47, 2300 North Jog Road, West Palm Beach, Florida, to consider applications for official zoning map amendments, plan developments, conditional uses, development order amendments, Type 2 variances, and other actions permitted by the Palm Beach County Unified Land Development Code, and to hear the recommendations of staff on these matters. The Commission takes final action regarding Class B conditional uses, subdivision variances, and Type 2 variances, and issues advisory recommendations on accepting, rejecting, or modifying the recommendations of staff regarding other requests. The Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County will conduct a public hearing at 301 North Olive Avenue, West Palm Beach, Florida, in the Jane M. Thompson Memorial Chambers, 6th floor at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday, August the 25th, 2022, to take final action on the applications listed below regarding official zoning map amendments, rezoning, Class A conditional uses, requested uses, plan developments, development order amendments, waiver requests, and administrative inquiries. Zoning hearings are quasi-judicial in nature and must be conducted to afford all parties due process. The Board of County Commissioners has adopted procedures for conduct of quasi-judicial hearings to govern the conduct of such proceedings. The procedures include the following requirements. Any communication with commissioners which occurs outside the public hearing must be fully disclosed at the hearing. Applicants and persons attending the hearing may question commissioners regarding their disclosures. Such questions shall be limited solely to the disclosures made at the hearing or the written communications made a part of the record at the hearing. Any person representing a group or organization must provide documentation that the person representing the group has the actual authority to do so regarding the matter before the Commission. Any person who wishes to speak at the hearing will be sworn in and may be subject to cross-examination. The applicant and county staff may cross-examine witnesses. Any other persons attending the hearing may submit cross-examination questions, including follow-up questions, to the chair who will conduct the examination. The scope of cross-examination is limited to the facts alleged by the witness in relation to the application. Public comment is encouraged, and all relevant information should be presented to the Commission in order that a fair and appropriate decision can be made. Do we have proof of publication?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Motion to receive and file.
Okay.
Motion by Commissioner Caliendo and seconded by Commissioner Scarborough.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Swearing in, please.
All those wishing to testify or speak on today's items, please rise and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Motion to adopt the minutes.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Caliendo, seconded by Commissioner Scarborough.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. The amendments to the agenda.
Yes, we have several amendments to our agenda, and I will run through them. We do have an item number 12, DOA CAW 2022-466 Diamond Plaza. They submitted a request to postpone to October 6th, 2022. For consent agenda, item number 1, which is Florence Fuller Development Center, 2022-478. We have deletion of subdivision variance engineering conditions and compliance conditions for Exhibit C1. So the remaining condition would just be for disclosure. We're going to amend the development order amendment engineering condition number 5 in Exhibit C2. Item number 2, Avalon Trails, Villages of Oriole, 2022-512. We have an amendment to the Type 2 variance compliance number 1 condition of Exhibit C1 and addition of variance condition number 4 to Exhibit C as well. Item 3, the hangar at Airfield Business Park MUPD, 2022-374. We're amending the motion for the Type 2 variance to identify 3 variance factors requested in that motion. And if you flip the page, the motion would be on that second page, and that is for Exhibit C1. We're relocating Type 2 variance condition number 3 from compliance to all petition under Exhibit C1. We're amending Type 2 variance compliance condition number 1 in Exhibit C1 to strike out Board of County Commissioners and replace it with Zoning Commission. Item number 4, more space storage. We're adding a new condition for the Class A conditional use for architectural review number 1, Exhibit C3. And then finally, number 6, Borlove Commercial. We're correcting our motion. It said to adopt a resolution, and it is actually to recommend approval, subject to the conditions in C. And that's the amendments to the agenda.
Okay.
Motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Caliendo, seconded by Commissioner Scarborough.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion is adopted. Okay. Any disclosures?
Yes, I have a disclosure on item number 4. I talked to the applicant, 2021-1951, and item number 11, 2022-505.
Commissioner Kelly?
Item number 11, I spoke to the applicant yesterday.
Spoke with the applicant on item number 4, number 5, and number 11.
Commissioner Kern?
No disclosures.
I too have no disclosures. Commissioner Scarborough?
Agenda item number 11, spoke with the applicant.
Commissioner Caliendo?
None.
Commissioner Sowers?
Yes, I spoke with the applicants on item 4, item 5, and item 11.
Okay. Any conflicts or recusals?
No.
None? Okay.
Okay, so that'll bring us to page 2 of the agenda under postponements A. As mentioned, we have a request for Diamond Plaza, DOA CAW 2022-466 to postpone to October 6, 2022, and staff agrees.
Madam Chair, we have one card from the general public that wishes to speak.
Okay. Does the person wish to speak to this postponement specifically?
Julie Diamond?
Julie Diamond?
Okay. She said no.
Okay. All right.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to postpone item number 12 to the October 6, 2022 zoning hearing, please.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Kern, seconded by Commissioner Beatty.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Okay. Great. Motion passes.
Okay, so that'll bring us to page 3 of the agenda, and these are the consent agenda items. Are there any requests to pull any items from consent?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
okay, that was Kern and
Pavlik.
Scarborough?
Pavlik.
Pavlik, sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
I believe that
All right.
takes us to item number
Moving right along, that'll bring us to our regular agenda then. Page 8, we have item number 11, ZB 2022-505 for the Babcock PUD. The request is a Type 2 variance to eliminate the planned unit development frontage requirement. Staff is recommending denial of the request, and I will turn it over to the applicant first to do a presentation.
You want me over there? Oh. Thanks, Jordan.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask the audience that's having a conversation in the back to please leave the room. We have other items on the agenda we need to discuss, so you could take your conversations outside, thanks.
Excuse me? Could you please leave? Thank you.
That was so nicely put.
Some of us are very abrupt.
So polite. Please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I loved it.
So we-
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Neil Schiller with Government Law Group. My address is 137 Northwest 1st Avenue in Delray Beach, Florida. I'm here today representing Public Storage, and I have my orange tie on. And with me today from Public Storage is Mike Bailey and Margaret Patterson. So we are asking for a variance today, and I have a little bit lengthy of a presentation. I don't know why it's not going. Can we set this for full screen possibly? Thank you. That's perfect. So we're seeking a variance to build this project, which is a 3-story secure climate-controlled self-storage building, about 72,000 square feet, almost 36 feet in height. And we need several different applications for approval, starting with this one, a Type 2 variance for PUD frontage. If this were to be approved, we then seek a master plan amendment to delete our subject parcel from the PUD, then a rezoning from single-family residential, the current zoning, to community commercial, CC. And then we'd also need site plan approval, which may or may not include a variance for building coverage that hasn't been determined yet, and then a conditional use Class A for the use of self-storage. But for this request today, which would be the first approval we need to move forward in this, we're seeking a request from 3E1C2A1 of the code that requires planned development districts to have a minimum of 200 linear feet of frontage along an arterial or collector. The applicant seeks to remove parcel F from the PUD. I'll show you that, to develop a 3-story self-service storage building. The removal of the parcel from the PUD necessitates the requirement for this variance. Our engineers have studied the Babcock PUD and have advised me that the PUD maintains compliance with the ULDC after the removal of the parcel. So the intent of the ordinance, which this is for, is to provide appropriate access to the proposed uses and designs maintained with the variance. And that access is maintained with the variance because Tranquility Drive will continue to provide access to Atlantic Avenue for the PUD as it does today. This is the location map. You can see the location of the Turnpike and Atlantic Avenue. This is at the end of the Turnpike, the southern end of the Turnpike, the exit, and then it also is bounded on the west-hand side of the Turnpike. Here's a close-up view. This property is owned by a third party. It was last sold on November 2004. And here's a great view. You can see the existing driveway. You can see Tranquility Drive. None of that is going to change with our proposal. This is the Babcock PUD master plan. Highlighted in orange is parcel F. That is the property we're seeking to remove. In green is Tranquility Drive. This Babcock PUD has 189 units in the PUD, multiple recreation areas. In fact, the almost 1.4 acre recreation area is directly south of the subject parcel. And again, the PUD will remain in compliance after the removal of parcel F. So going back to the frontage requirement, why do we have this? What is the intent of the frontage requirement? It clearly states in the code that the intent of the frontage requirement is providing access to adequately accommodate the proposed uses and design. It's reinforced this providing access idea, safe and adequate access, is reinforced later in the code when the code talks about the BCC removing the frontage requirement. Long story short, if this were less of a frontage requirement that we were asking for, we could have gone to the Board of County Commissioners and asked for a Type 2 waiver. One of the criteria that the board must consider when granting that Type 2 waiver is, quote, provide safe and adequate access to the project, which we do because Tranquility Drive isn't changing. Additionally, the code requires, I highlighted it number 2 all the way on the right-hand side, section 3EC2A2 requires planned developments to have legal access to or on an arterial or collector. That is complied with here. This is a highlighted area again of the street. Tranquility Drive is a private street owned by the Waterways Homeowners Association, and a portion, the eastern portion, is owned by CREF3 FLS Delray Owners LLC, which is the CLF to the east. We propose Tranquility will continue to function as it does today. We don't even own it. We can't make changes to it, and we don't propose any changes to it. The PUD maintains its access to Atlantic Avenue, which maintains the intent of the frontage requirement. This PUD doesn't have direct access onto Atlantic Avenue but for Tranquility Drive. And again, that isn't changing. So obviously, there's some variance criteria. Here are all the criteria, A through G. I'm going to go through them semi-quickly. Do special conditions or circumstances exist that are peculiar to the parcel of land? And I would say and argue, yes, that they do. The existing commercial and land use and inconsistent zoning district is a special conditions that's peculiar to this land. Why? Because you have to have consistent land use and zoning in order to really have developable property in the county. Number one. Number two, the location vis-a-vis Florida's Turnpike. So this is one of 8 locations in the whole county that exist on Florida's Turnpike. This PUD's outparcel was never developed and remains vacant. Other Turnpike exits have a lot of commercial elements. I'll show you. The closest residential unit is about 500 feet from Atlantic Avenue. The proposed use has the least impact on the established HOA, which is the last 2 projects that have been brought forward on this piece include a gas station with a convenience store as well as a fast food restaurant. I believe it was a Burger King. So I looked at the 8 exits in Palm Beach County. The 2 northern exits, PGA and Indiantown, are controlled by their municipalities, Palm Beach Gardens and Jupiter, respectively. So I didn't look at those land use and zonings, but I looked at, and then Southern, obviously, is an industrial corridor. But if you look at Glades Road and look at the opportunities at Glades Road, you have commercial high 5 with general commercial. If you look at Boynton Beach Boulevard, you have commercial low 5 with general commercial. There's a PUD there, but there is on the other side commercial low 5, general commercial. Looking at Lake Worth Road, commercial low 5, general commercial. Then you have low residential and single family in Lake Worth. And then obviously in Okeechobee is significantly high, commercial high 8 with MUPD. When you look at Atlantic Avenue, it's different. Why is it different? It's different because there's a commercial high 5 with single family zoning. Not commercial general, not even community commercial, but commercial high 5 with single family zoning. Limited the development opportunities there. B, the special circumstances and conditions don't result from actions of the applicant. They don't. We didn't create the location along Florida's Turnpike. We didn't create this as part of the PUD. The inclusion of the parcel in the PUD that's required to have 200 feet of frontage is also not something that we created. And most importantly, we didn't create the pre-existing commercial land use and inconsistent zoning district. The granting of the variance doesn't grant a special privilege to the applicant nor the PUD. The function of the PUD, remember, will continue to operate as it does today. Tranquility Drive isn't changing. The use of this property would be changing. However, this is, remember, the first of many different applications that we have to get through in order to change that property. But, and again, I want to remind you that this whole application furthers the intent of the ordinance to provide access to the PUD from an arterial or collector, which we're proposing that this does. In the alternative, the property will be denied an opportunity to be redeveloped that is presently available to other similarly situated properties, as I showed you in those 8 different exits. Additionally, the Zoning Commission has granted similar frontage requirements, full relief in the past. Here are 6 different examples. And the votes, and it's not like these were contested votes, ladies and gentlemen. These were 6-1, 7-0, 8-0, 7-0. And granted, while they may not be 100% similar, it does show that this board has been willing to grant 100% of the applicant's relief for frontage on an arterial or collector. So literal interpretation and enforcement of the terms and provision of the code would deprive applicant rights commonly enjoyed by other parcels of land in the same district and would work in unnecessary and undue hardship. Without the relief sought, the property can't be removed from the PUD. Without removal from the PUD, the property can't be developed with a compatible use like self-service storage, unlike other properties in the similar zoning district. And then when I looked at the code to show you how, to really point out what is allowed for CH land use, and these are the allowable zoning districts found in your code. You have CN, CC, CL, O, CHO. My optometrist is going to be very proud of me. CG, IR, AR, PO, AP. None of these are RS. None of these are residential. And so this is the problem that we're having. Granting the variance is the minimum variance necessary. We're seeking to remove the whole piece, which is frankly more than 200 feet. And that's why we're seeking the whole 100% variance of 200 feet. And again, the situs property has to be removed from the PUD and develop the property as self-service storage, making the 200-foot request the minimum variance necessary. This is the most reasonable use, and I want to point out the most reasonable use of the property is low-intensity commercial due to its location to the turnpike and the established HOA. The site has previously sought a gas station. I found out late last night. Also, Burger King was supposed to go there. Residential obviously wouldn't be considered due to the proximity of the turnpike and the parcel size and dimensions. These are another criteria is granting the variance will be consistent with the goals, purposes, objectives of the comp plan, as well as the ULDC. Here are a couple policies and code amendments that we feel we're consistent with. Granting the variance won't be injurious to the area or detrimental to the public welfare, and it won't be. Because the property will continue and the PUD will continue to operate as it does today. Tranquility Drive, I'm sorry to be repetitive, will continue to operate as it does today. Improving the site by developing the site will be a significant upgrade. The site is used, there's a lot of litter, liquor bottles, beer bottles, etc. There's a brief paved area there. Cars are parked there illegally all throughout the day and night, and it provides, unfortunately, an opportunity to access the existing HOA. With our development of the property, the security of the homeowners association is drastically improved. And again, the desired use is very complementary to the HOA, and I'm going to tell you about our work with the homeowners association in a minute. Self-storage has ancillary traffic. So the benefits of public storage is the largest publicly traded self-storage real estate investment trust in the world. We're long-term holders of properties. We do not sell them. That provides assurance that the use will not change. And additionally, we have the financial wherewithal to not only go through this process, but design and build and maintain this property. And again, here is a traffic generation table to show you how low of a use self-storage is. This 6,000 square foot convenience store with gas station generates about 5,074 trips daily. This use is I can't read that, but it's 151 trips, or 211 trips, which is 4.2% of those trips that a gas station would use. And additionally, self-service storage, as you know, has no impact to emergency services, water utilities, solid waste, or other public services. Staff's recommendation. So we met with staff a multitude of times on this project and had a multitude of phone calls and Zoom meetings with them. And we never indicated that we would seek any other direction than removing this parcel from the PUD. This was confirmed in writing with staff in our pre-app meeting on April 27, 2021, and additionally in an insufficiency letter that we got on November 22nd, 2021. And it's, by the way, it's taken us over a year to get this far in the process. And additionally, we've met with the neighboring HOA, Waterways Homeowners Association, more than 10 times, more than 4 times to walk the site and meet in person. Additionally, we met with Delray Alliance, which is, as you know, the umbrella organization for Delray Beach, a multitude of times, and both support this project and this application. Attached, these are their actually letters of support. One from Mr. Larry Brody, the new Homeowners Association president for Waterways of Delray, and one from Lori Vinicor, as you know, the president of the Delray Alliance. And I'll tell you why they support our project. Because when we met with them, we listened to what they had to say, and we incorporated everything that they wanted. This was our original site plan, which shows access to the building on the south with a very large buffer between building and property line. We had changed the entrance drive and moved it further south with a monument sign, etc., and they hated it. Waterways said, "Why are you doing that? You're putting traffic next to our recreational pod, which is right where our pool is. Flip-flop it for us. We don't mind if we have a little bit less of a distance between building and our property line because there are not going to be cars there." So that's what we did. We flip-flopped it for them, and this is the site plan that we're moving forward with. That driveway that you see there exists today. We are not doing anything to that driveway. It exists today. The other reason is that apparently they hate the color orange, and we're really put off by the color orange. On the left-hand side was our original elevations. You can see orange on the pillars and on the columns. Frankly, as you know, orange happens to be our logo color. And so when we got the right-hand side designs approved by corporate, Mike and Margaret can tell you that they had to go to the ends of the earth and back to get that approved. The only orange found on this building now is in our sign. And we have 2 signs, one facing Atlantic Avenue and one facing the Turnpike. On the left are the east and west elevations with orange, and on the right are the new ones without the orange. These are just some renderings to show you what the feedback, the before and the after was, and again, why we have community support. So we've removed a substantial amount of orange from the building. We flipped the site plan, moved the monument sign closer. We maintain the existing Tranquility access points, and there's preserving a large existing tree on Tranquility Drive as staff is seeking that also. In conclusion, we are seeking a 100% variance here because we have to, because we're pulling the parcel out of the PUD. And remember, this is the first step. The intent of the frontage requirement ordinance is met with this application. Why? Because we're not changing the PUD's access to Atlantic Avenue at all. We're not proposing additional access. We're not taking away additional access. We're not doing anything to the access from the PUD to Atlantic Avenue. We meet the criteria for the variance sought. Again, the access isn't changing. The PUD will continue to have access from Atlantic Drive, and it will continue to remain compliant with code when this parcel is removed from the PUD, but we're not even there yet. We got to get through this frontage variance first. And then lastly and most importantly, second to lastly and most importantly, there are 6 other similar variance applications that have been previously approved. And then lastly, the support of Waterways HOA and Delray Alliance are critical in our application because it shows that we're consistent. It shows that we're consistent with the community. It shows that this is what the community wants. Please help us get there by voting yes today. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Staff?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jordan Jafar with the Zoning Division. The subject property is located at the southwest corner of Florida's Turnpike and West Atlantic Avenue. The future land use is commercial high with an underlying medium residential. Zoning for the site is a single-family residential district / special exception / planned unit development with 40.1 acres for the entire development. The applicant is requesting a Type 2 variance to eliminate planned development district frontage. This slide shows a preliminary master plan that was submitted with the application. The area highlighted in red shows a parcel of land that is intended to be removed from the existing Babcock PUD. Removal of the parcel from the PUD will eliminate required frontage from West Atlantic Avenue. At the time of publication, staff received no contacts from the public. Staff has evaluated the standards listed under Article 2B7E6 and has determined that the request does not satisfy all the standards and is therefore recommending denial of the request. As noted in the staff report, a prior DOA to delete the parcel from the PUD was denied by the Board of County Commissioners in 1992. Should the Zoning Commission find that the request meets the standards of review for the Type 2 variance, staff recommends it be subject to the conditions of approval as indicated in Exhibit C of the staff report. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your time.
I have a few things to add to that. In Mr. Schiller's presentation, I think he repeatedly mentioned that the subject site has an inconsistent FLU and zoning. It has a CH5 land use, 5 being consistent with planned unit development. So it is a consistent, currently consistent future land use and zoning. So that statement is incorrect. Also, I want to point out that he mentioned in his presentation that other variances have been granted. The allowance of other variances is not justification to grant this particular variance. So,
I'm always guarded with the word similar is not exact. So, okay. Thank you. Commissioners? Any comments?
Excuse me, Madam Chair, are there any public comments?
No.
Before the commission gets into it, perhaps Mr. Schiller would like a rebuttal of anything.
Sure. Again, I'll just say,
What else can you say?
the intent of the ordinance is met through this variance request because access to the PUD isn't changing, and therefore we feel again that there's all the criteria have been met, and that again this is something that the community wants. We made so many changes, and this is again the first step of the process that we've worked hand in hand with staff on, and we'll continue to work with them. And you'll see this application at least 2 more times.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.
I agree with Mr. Schiller, and I think that the meetings with the Delray Alliance and their support of it, I think that says a lot. I travel this area all the time, as a matter of fact. It's how I get up here to zoning, down Atlantic. And being with this parcel could be used for and that the residents support it. I think that says a lot. I would be in support of this, 100%.
I'm going to agree with the commissioner. I think the key issue for me is that, a gas station would be a mistake for the residents, all the traffic that would be at the corner, fast food, Burger King, all commercial, this commercial high that could be there that the residents don't want. So it really affects them. It doesn't affect the rest of the people up and down the strip. So if they're for it, the Alliance agrees that it's a good project, I'd have to support it.
And I agree. I would support our commissioners. If you look at Glades Road that Mr. Shaler brought up, that having that gas station across there generates so much traffic. Putting the storage place up there would generate less than a fraction of traffic, and I think it's a great usage of that property.
Yeah, Mr. Schiller answered a question today that I had from him from our previous meeting, and that is, what is the purpose of the 200-foot setback? And he answered that for me today, and it looks like, according to the presentation, that is going to be maintained, that access. So if that's solely the purpose for that, then I'm in support of it because it's in compliance. Whether or not it's a storage unit or anything like that, I think on the sole basis of a variance, I think it's supportable.
I would agree with my fellow commissioners that in fact you are correct. Additionally, I would comment that and ask Mr. Schiller, what's the depth of the building?
I'll pull it up right now.
Because currently there's nothing there that would insulate the development from the traffic on that artery, and that building would in fact insulate the community from that traffic at all hours of the day, because it's not going to vanish in the middle of the night, correct?
Right. So I'm pulling up the site plan as we speak. I apologize, Commissioner. There will be a 3-story building, 35 feet 8 inches. Here we go. Oh, my client can tell you.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Mike Bailey. I live at 1867 Savoy Drive, Atlanta, Georgia. I am Regional Vice President of Development for Public Storage. So this is my project. And I think to your question, Commissioner, the building depth is approximately 80 feet. But we've, in accordance with discussion with the HOA and the Delray Alliance, we have turned the quiet side of the building toward the recreational area of the HOA. and thank you, there's the site plan. And so in addition to moving the active side of our building to the north, we also, in discussion with the HOA, have agreed to do an 8-foot masonry wall and a heavy landscape buffer on that south side of our building to make sure everything is secure, to make sure it's quiet, and to soften the appearance of the building from that south side where the HOA pool is. And so, does that answer your question?
It does. I have a follow-up on a different line. The security infrastructure in your facilities, video, audio, the installation of those and access of those feeds and data, would that improve the safety and security of the general area, and would that data be available to law enforcement if needed?
So first, yes, we do have redundant security. We have 3 levels of entry access control points. We have a gate, we have access control at the main door to the storage facility, as well as at the elevator, so you can only go to the floor where your unit is located. We have cameras that we use internally. As far as how that security tape being available to law enforcement, I mean, my basic assumption is yes.
I understand I understand the mechanism to obtain the footage.
Sure.
I was just curious that, in fact, it was consistent with your other developments and the business model, and how that would have an ancillary effect to the safety and security of the adjacent community. I think you've answered my questions. I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair. I yield.
Thank you.
So, my question is for staff, Wendy, Lisa, or I apologize.
Jordan.
First of all, thank you so much for the great job that you guys do every single day laying this stuff out. I know your job is really black and white. This is the code. Does it meet? Does it? So on and so forth. And we really appreciate that. I know that I do, reading through everything. It really helps. What is in the code's eyes, in your eyes, what is the negative impact of removing the 200 feet? I mean, yes, it doesn't. The PUD no longer meets code, but it doesn't look like there's any expansion available for that PUD to go any further. So what is the code behind that?
For practical purposes, whether it's removed or not, I mean, as far as Neil said, he's correct in that the practical purposes for the community going home through Tranquility Drive, it doesn't change. But, it is a code requirement that PUDs have the 200 feet of frontage. So that's really what we're looking at. And theoretically, it could have been a commercial pod of a PUD, but commercial pods of a PUD are quite restrictive, and it wouldn't allow the site to be 100% storage. I'm not sure if it would be allowed to be storage at all.
Yeah, self-service storage would be allowed in a commercial pod of a PUD.
But not at this extent. So it's just, in this particular one, it's kind of a technical issue. It's not like a policy concern,
okay,
so to speak.
So as a follow-up real quick, if this does go for approval, as indicated in Exhibit C, is there anything there specifically that you want us to pay close attention to, or that you would like to notate?
Nothing in particular. I don't know that Neil has any issues with the conditions of approval that are in the exhibit.
No. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jordan.
And I just want to say, thank you. The outreach that you did to the community was very, usually, we would get at least one when it has something to do with this. So to have zero, and, the amendments and you're working with them that you made, I know when it comes to a point of branding with a company, to get that done is really challenging. So for them to agree to the reduction of the orange is a big deal. I know that. Okay. Are we ready?
Yep.
Okay. Can I get a motion, please?
Move to adopt a resolution approving a Type 2 zoning variance to eliminate frontage, which meets the ULD standards, ULDC standards.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Council, because staff's recommendation was denial, if we could just get a finding from the motion maker that all the standards for the variance have been satisfied?
I thought I included. I
thought they did that.
I included that in my statement that it meets the ULDC standards.
You just need to add 2B7E16.
I apologize. I was focused on the conditions.
Yep.
My mistake.
We don't need to go through each one, do we?
No. That if it was denial, you would have to identify. I just wanted something on the record.
Okay. Were we clear in that, or do we need to repeat the vote?
I think you're clear if you reference the ULDC.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'll second the motion.
I've already seconded.
You said subject to the conditions, right?
Subject to the conditions.
We've already seconded.
Okay.
Okay. Sam seconded that.
Sam. Okay.
Second, Sam.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes 7. Is there 7 of us?
8-0.
8-0.
Thank you so much. Thank you to staff, too. Have a great day.
And Neil, just for the record, I think that ties a little more to the salmon side than the orange.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
The chair has the right color on.
Not intentional, please. No disclosures. Thank you. Okay. Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay. All right. I'd just like to, as well, we have a number of new staff members. I'd like to officially welcome you and wish you the best of luck in your new roles. Thank you very much, Jordan. That was good.
Thank you so much. Very good.
All right. Sam?
There's a motion.
A motion to adjourn.
Okay. So,
Seconded by Commissioner Beatty.
all right. My favor?
Baby.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Didn't think so. All right, okay. Okay, bye.
Stay here for another 4 weeks.